Hi, welcome to the Crafts channel. My name's Corinne Brad and today I want to talk to you about effective storage that's pretty and not just the same as everybody else's. Because there's a great movement at the minute of labelling everything, which I thoroughly agree with because I can never find anything in my house. But I like to do things a little bit differently, and I don't have storage jars that are all exactly the same. I have random jars that I've gone, oh, that's nice, when I've finished my jar of pickle and I've washed it up. So we've got some labelling projects here. This is a nice drop of my 3-year-old sloe gin that I've kept in a dark place and finally labelled in time to give to someone for Christmas. And these are actually the herbs that I use in my kitchen. But they're a random selection of jars. And actually I quite like that untidiness of it because they've all been bought together with labels that are more or less the same, but all a bit different. So, just got a couple of tips for you as to the best way. Let's just pop them out of the way. The best way to put labelling on jars. And we'll show you first of all on the screen some labels that I've created here, just with a wave flourish font. They've been kerned by hand. I've set them up on my screen, and just before I go to cut them out, one important point to remember is if you group them all by just selecting all of them here, so you can group them and then you need to weld them. And the reason that you weld them is when you go to make it and it appears on your screen, if you haven't welded them, what it will do is it will put all the capital letters here and all the small letters here in alphabetical order, and all that perfect spacing that you've done is for naught. But you can see they're arranged neatly on the screen. I've done them in blue so that I can see the black outline on a nice blue mat. And I've got a piece of removable premium vinyl in a nice grey. I'm just going to pop here. And then quite simply feed your mat in. Tell the machine you want to continue to make it. Set it to vinyl because what it will do is it will kiss cut the vinyl. So it will cut through the grey vinyl, but it won't cut the backing mat, which makes life much easier when you're trying to get it off your mat. And then just press go. And it will prepare. Now it's quite quiet and it's quite quick, so while that's actually cutting that out, I'm just going to show you how I make sure that my bottles and jars are perfectly clean. Give them a good hot wash with soapy water, and then get a hold of some rubbing alcohol, or it's isopropyl alcohol. It can also be sold as a sticky glue remover. And I've got it in a spray bottle. Just spray some onto clean tissue and give your jars a rub over. Because what that does is it makes sure that any old label, the glue from that is removed, any greasy fingerprints are removed, and you can just let that dry, air dry. Don't actually just put your thumb where you've just cleaned it with alcohol because you'll end up getting grease back on there again. And the vinyl will stick very well, but just to give it a helping hand, it's best to make sure that you haven't got any gunk on your jars. So he's halfway through cutting. So what I will also show you, I can't bring it up on the screen at the minute because it's obviously doing its magic, is I've previously cut some little background labels from different colours of vinyl, because I've got lots of different colours of vinyl. And the reason I've done that is because I don't think that a word against something like my cardamom pods here would actually be that visible. So I want something so that the word actually stands out, but I don't want them all the same colour because my kitchen is quite cluttered, shall we say. And it's got quite a lot of nice coloured tea towels in there and nice cafetières, and you know, it's not a plain white kitchen by any stretch of the imagination. So I needed my spice jars to go with that. So rather than put the background label on the jar, I'm just going to put my wording label on the background first of all. Now this is finished cutting, so let's just pop him out of the machine and use your scraping tool to lift the vinyl in its entirety off the mat. Pop the mat there so it doesn't get dusty. And I don't know if you can see on that camera where it has cut. You probably can't actually. You'll have to believe me, I'll show you in a minute. I'm just going to hold it to the light and trim each of these labels down. Smaller. And don't ever throw away your offcuts of vinyl, because you'll always find a project where you just want to put, I don't know, a kid's name on something in about 72-point lettering, or not even 72, probably 36-point lettering. And as long as you position it on your mat and you position your vinyl on the mat correctly, so you know where it is in relation to the markings on the mat, then it will cut out from that scrap perfectly. It saves any waste. So let's just trim these down into individual labels. And the reason I do this is because when you come to weed them, if you weed the whole lot at the same time, you'll find that this background, you know, the piece that you're weeding away will become very, very unwieldy, to say the very least. And some of these pieces on this design that I've made are quite fiddly, like the little scroll at the bottom, which I am regretting doing now because it's always a little bit tricky just getting that final... Oh, there you go. I lied, wasn't tricky at all. But once I'd committed to putting that scroll on the bottom of all of my labels, I couldn't really leave them off any other ones. Just use your little weeding tool to take out the centre of that. Oh, I can't even see that. There you go. The centre of that scroll. Which is now going to stick to my fingers, and I shall find that about 8 o'clock tonight while I'm cooking dinner. And the middle of your S, and the middle of your A, oh! Honestly, weeding isn't as difficult as I make it look. I try hard to make it look difficult. I'm just a bit cack-handed at times, especially when I'm trying to make sure that my head's not in the way of anything and the camera can focus on what I'm doing. When you're doing this at home, you can actually get up a lot closer and see what you're doing a lot better. So anyway, I digress, as I normally do. Grab yourself a piece of transfer tape, and this is clear, sticky back plastic with a grid line on it. Oh. I've also got no fingernails at the minute, so... There you go. Save the backing paper of your transfer tape. And just pop your weeded wording onto it. and actually give it a bit of a rub down with this scraper. And then if you peel the backing paper off, leaving the transfer tape flat, because what that will do is it will leave the vinyl flat. It should leave the vinyl flat. And also you can see if it's lifting or trying to leave any bits, like, you know, the dot on the eye will probably try and stay on the background paper. But if you do it like this, like that little bit of the swirl, there you go. And the dot, yeah, the dot of the eye is trying to come off as well. Have you ever seen anybody make quite such a hash? Oh, there you go. And I'm going to put it on a pink background. And I'm just going to line this up by eye. What I've done with all my other labels here is I've made sure that the ends of the swirl just touch on these curly bits of the label. And that's how I know that they're in the centre and straight. There you go. Just rub over it with a bit of backing paper. And then lay your cleaned jar on the back. And because you don't need to make sure your letters are okay, you know, this is an easy job now to just lay your label on there in the centre and rub it down around the edges of your jar. Like so. So these are flat-sided jars. It is just as easy to transfer onto a round bottle, like my sloe gin bottle here. Just quickly show you again. Make sure your bottle is clean by giving it a wipe over. Take your weeded lettering that I've done, here's one I've done earlier, and make sure it's rubbed down well onto the transfer tape. My transfer tape's having a bit of a day of it, actually. I wonder if it's the heat of the lights. Really, you just want to make sure that you're not putting your sticky fingers on the back of the vinyl that you want to stick. Oh, there you go. A little shimmy motion actually normally works well for this. Voila, there you go. And then lay your bottle flat. And lay your transfer tape over the bottle. Now you'll see here that as the neck of the bottle comes up is where that Y is going to tilt, but it's not an issue because all you need to do is as you peel away your transfer tape, it is a clean bottle, that's just condensation inside it where it wasn't quite dry. So you've peeled that away and then you can just smooth that top curve of the Y over the shoulders of the bottle. And give it a rub down. So when I fill that with the plum rum that I've got sat in my cupboard, that will show up really nicely against the dark background, just like this gin has shown up well against the sloe gin that's in here. But if you're not into making your own flavoured alcohols and you don't have many spices at home, it's the same concept if you're going to do something like cosmetics, you know, homemade moisturisers and bubble baths and things like this, to label them up so that you know exactly what you've got in your bathroom. Just simply do your labels on your screen using the Cricut Design Space package, respace the lettering as you wish, but what I would reiterate is make sure you weld that design before you try and cut it out, because otherwise it will just, the machine automatically tries to save you materials. So what it will do is it will take every element that you've got there and put it in the smallest space possible. And the way it does that is just by arranging it alphabetically. And if you don't look what you're doing and you cut it out, then you've got a hell of a job taking individual letters and trying to stick them on one by one. So I hope you enjoyed that project. I hope it's inspired you. I mean, it's a great idea for Christmas gifting as well. If you've got a budding cook, you could do them a whole selection of jars with some fresh herbs in and go from there. So we'll see you again very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching. In the meantime, keep safe, keep crafting, and take care. If you've been inspired to create, please share your makes with us in the comments section below. And if you've enjoyed videos by the Crafts channel, hit the like button. Want to see more of us? Then click subscribe. See you next time.